Alright, welcome in folks. My name is prawnzo. I am a Zelda 1 speedrunner, and a question that I get asked all the time is, how do you do that crazy glitch where you're jumping from one side of the screen to the other in Zelda 1? So I thought I would put together a tutorial that kind of encompasses a lot of the basics, as well as a lot of the scenarios that you might encounter, the ones that you'll have to deal with if you're going to be learning the any % speedrun for Zelda 1. You know, it's funny because this was actually the first way that I learned, or how I got into Zelda 1 speedrunning. I remember watching speedrunners as well and was like, wow, that's so cool what they're doing. And I'd always ask them, like, how do you do that? How do you do that? And it's kind of funny because it actually took me a while to really get used to screen scrolling. It sounds easy in theory, but there are some little tricks and nuances and precision that's required for it. But I'm hopefully here to help you kind of guide you through some of the basics so that you'll be screen scrolling and hopefully learning the speedrun yourself. So again, definitely feel free to check out my channel at twitch.tv/prawnzo. Working on a lot of Zelda 1 at the moment, so if you're interested, please join and follow. So some of the basics, let me just work with the save states here, it's just easier. Oh, whoops. Cut this out real quick. But basically, I'm using a file right now called the buffet, which is like the practice ROM that Zelda 1 runners use. Just disregard the sword and the bombs that I have right now. I was just kind of messing around with it for fun. But screen scrolling 101. So a couple things about it. It's really cool. Let me just show you what it looks like first before we kind of jump into it. You can basically pass through the side of the screen. A couple caveats about this real quick. You cannot do this in dungeons. You can only do this on the overworld. So what the basic premise of it is, and again, it sounds simple, but it takes practice, is lining yourself up exactly 5 pixels from the edge of the screen and tapping up or down, or basically in a perpendicular direction for exactly 1 frame. You can't do too much. And if you're using the buffet ROM, if you look in the top left corner, you see the number 3 with the little plus sign next to it. That's basically confirmation that you're on the right spot to screen scroll. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap up. That's just my preference. You could do up or down, doesn't matter. Whoops, see right there, that's a good example. I tapped it a little too aggressively, so you notice how Link kind of moved a little bit to the left? That is not going to work, so I'm going to back out of it just to kind of clear it out, start over again. Just tap up as quickly as you can, and scroll right through. One thing I would love to kind of show you, this was kind of one of the aha moments that I had when I was learning screen scrolling. A lot of the higher level speedrunners will use 2 hands to screen scroll, so this is a very typical setup of how I do it. I actually use my right index finger for the actual adjusting and tapping. Some people use their right thumb. I personally just like my index finger, so just experiment and see what works with you. So right now I'm going to do the tap on the up direction really quickly. And we got it. So that's pretty much it. Again, experiment with whatever feels comfortable with you. One kind of nuance about this as overworld screen scrolling is that on the left side of the screen, you could actually use your sword, and you actually get a little extra pixel of buffer, so it does make it a little bit potentially faster if you like doing that. I used to use sword scrolls, but I actually just ended up defaulting to swordless scrolls. But if you look at that HUD, again, you see that little sword now instead of the plus sign, so that basically means right now I'm on like the 6th pixel. And in this scenario, and this will come into play in the dungeon clips too, you could tap A and down or up, whichever, doesn't matter whichever you prefer. I usually just do down for this. You do A, you have to do A and down relatively quickly, not super fast, but you notice Link turned around, and then you can just walk right through. So, one common error, like I said, you might run into it, especially on the right side. If you're on the 6th pixel, so right now I'm on the wrong pixel, and this will take some testing on your part. I don't really have actually a great visual cue. I just look at the kind of white space between Link's shield and the edge of the screen. Some people will use tape on their CRTs or monitors. I'm not responsible for any damage if it happens, but a little scotch tape, something that's not too sticky. Maybe putting a little dot on your screen too. Again, don't do anything permanent, but that's something you could do. But a very common mistake you'll run into is that right now I'm on the 6th pixel. And so if I try to tap up, let's see if I do it correctly. Actually, I guess I don't need to show you. Link still turns around, but because I was on the wrong pixel, I will not be able to screen scroll. So as I go right, I'm just going to transition to the next screen. So if you're finding that that's happening a lot, it's probably because you're on the wrong pixel. Like right now I'm on the right pixel. Quick tap. As long as Link doesn't move like left or right, you should be good to go. Again, same thing on the left side. I'm going to do this without the sword buffer this time. So right now I'm on the 5th pixel exactly. Tap up, Link turns around cleanly, and then you just go right through. So again, you know, it's one of those things that just takes a little bit of practice. Once you get used to it, it's pretty good. You'll get an eye for it. Some people have different visual cues. Like I said, I look at the white space between Link's shield and the edge of the screen for my visual cue. I've just gotten used to it over the years from running this game. One thing you can do, it's not exactly like it's not super common. You're not really going to do this any percent. You can theoretically scroll vertically. The thing with the vertical scroll is that it doesn't really save any time, maybe in a handful of scenarios, but it's the exact same premise. You just have to get 5 pixels. It's a little hard to read versus the left to right side because I'm more used to that, but exact same premise, and you could go up into the HUD. Again, it's used in very rare scenarios. You don't even see it really in any percent. You only see it in hundo. So I wouldn't really worry too much about it. Just know that you could do it, I guess, theoretically. One thing I want to kind of show you, you kind of have to be careful. You can't screen scroll everywhere. You could very easily soft lock. Let's see, I'll show you kind of like a fun example. Oops. Actually, wait, can you do it here? Let's see. I know you can't. Sorry, it's this one screen over. That's what I was thinking of. Let me just show you real quick. So say, for example, you try to scroll over here, like, oh, maybe I can get to level 4 faster. Let's see if I can get sneaky. Well, what'll happen is you will end up in the water. And now I've soft-locked. So, yeah, I mean, generally speaking, just be mindful. It's similar to screen scrolling or screen wrapping in Metroid. You just have to do it at the right spots, otherwise you're going to soft-lock. One other overworld scroll that will very likely come up is the world wrap. And the world wrap is, if you're looking at the map right now in the top left corner, you'll see I'm kind of basically on the left edge of the of Hyrule, basically. But this screen scroll, you actually can screen scroll to the other side of the map to be on the right side, and this is used pretty much, I believe, in all the any percent routes. I believe it's used in 2 First also. So it is useful to learn this. Again, standard screen scroll there. So you're going down. Same premise. Line up exactly 5 pixels. Tap up. And go. And now we're on the other side of Hyrule. It's called the World Wrap. Kind of a fun little thing too. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this clip in a little bit more detail later. But basically, you need to do a second clip here to get to the heart. Like if I just try to go, it's not going to do anything. So basically, the visual cue that I use is roughly Link is like 2/3 of the way across the ladder. Do the exact same thing. So right now I'm just tapping up for 1 frame. Again, tapping in the perpendicular direction. Link will turn around, and that's it. So one thing that you might run into is, and you'll see this again in another clip that I'm going to cover later in the video. If you miss the clip, like I'm going to try to intentionally get on the wrong spot. So that's 2. Alright, so like right there, I wasn't even close. Like, you gotta, sometimes you have to like back out of the ladder to really get the clip cleanly. I didn't really run into it there, but it's something I remember as a beginner. I used to always run into issues with that. So my broad rule of advice is that, let's just say I messed up this clip, whatever. It's probably safe to clear it out and then bring it back and then try again. So that's pretty much it for the world wrap. And now we'll just talk about dungeons real quick. Let me make sure. Whoops, I gotta find my save states. Let's see. Actually, let's start with so some of the clips you'll be doing inside of dungeons. Not the right save state. Bear with me. Okay. So this is, I think, if you're doing 2 First as well as 3 First, this will be the first encounter of doing a block clip. And it's not, it can definitely save you time. It saves you a massive amount of time in like level 5, for example, because there's a room with the stairwell that you need to access that's blocked by blue dark nuts. So you could spend your time theoretically killing them all. And if you like that, definitely try the TDO category. traditional dungeon order, but in any percent, you just want to get through it as fast as possible. So you want to just clip right through it and skip them all. And so what you do is, again, a very similar premise to overworld screen scrolling. I want to line up, you see how Link's head is touching that little inner square inside of the block? Let's see if I can get the sword tip to touch it. You see that little inner square? Like, that's where you need to line up Link's head. And exact same thing, so in this time, instead of tapping up or down, again, you want to tap in a perpendicular direction. So I usually just tap left, I mean, whatever's easier for you, and you can just go right through. But that's not really the most efficient way to do it, because you'll see, if you want to line up exactly, I've gotten used to it over time, but if you line up precisely, it's going to take a little bit of time. So the beauty is, similar to the left to right scroll, you can use your sword buffer for these scrolls. So right now, again, looking at the HUD, you can see that the little sword is there, so that means I'm in the right spot. So I believe you actually have like a 2-pixel buffer with the sword. So I could just stab and tap right. Link turns around and you could go through. I'm not going to go through just because I want to show you again. Like, for example, if I tried to do this is the exact same spot that I was on just before. If I try to tap only with no sword, it doesn't work. So that's why when you see speedrunners do clips like this, it's usually pretty quick, because you could just tap your sword and go, whoops, like that, basically. So, but yeah, that's the basic premise for the block clip. Another one that I wanted to show you was in level 5, or 4, excuse me. Whoops, one more save state back. And don't mind the sword and bombs. I've just had fun messing around with the values for this. So this clip, this is a clip that you'll see speedrunners doing. I'll show it to you once as is, as you might see it in a speedrun. Doesn't really seem too eventful to the untrained eye, but there's a bit going on there, and I could show you real quick. Hold on, let's get the candle going. So now I could show you what the room actually looks like, and you can kind of get a sense of what's going on. So what we're doing here, we're actually just doing that block clip straight through this block right here in the speedrun. And hopefully none of the virus get in your way. Now, the thing that I do personally, you see this line right here? I'm trying to stab at it, but the one that's like just above Link's sword, that is my visual cue. You see how the line kind of like points directly into Link's ear? That's the visual cue that I personally go for when I'm clipping. I'm sure other people have different ones, but that's usually what I shoot for. So I'll try to show you again in the dark, but just a little bit slowed down. So like right there, roughly right there. I could be wrong. I think that's right. You see how the dark, that line in the wall is pointing straight into Link's ear? Oops, see, I was actually wrong. I was a little high. It's somewhere around there. I mean, again, I'm just kind of like, during a speedrun, you just kind of like fly through it. Once you get kind of used to it after a certain point. But yeah, that's basically the clip right there. One other clip. Again, this is similar to the world wrap. This is another clip that you're probably going to be doing in level 4 that'll save you some time. Again, I'll do it once without the candle, just so you could kind of just see what the clip is. You're normally supposed to bomb up, but... So this room is a double wide, or I guess double tile wide river room that you can't cross normally. So like, I can't do anything from here. I'll do it again with the lights on now. Just so you can get a sense of what's going on. So yeah, if I just try to go up, this is not going to do anything. This, oops. You'll just end up stuck there. So what you need to do here, this one's a little tricky. This takes some practice. I don't know if you can see the little light section on the very top of the ladder. I'm lining up Link's head directly with that. Same premise here, tap left or right for exactly 1 frame, just really quick. And you'll go right through. So it's pretty similar to the world wrap. One other thing, again, it's something I would recommend if you miss it, and I've seen people do this. If you like I'm on the completely wrong spot, because you can actually see the blue water above Link's head. That is not correct. If you miss it, it's not going to work. And so the thing that I've always seen people do, they try to like correct it while they're still on the ladder, and it just doesn't work. So at this point, just clear out the ladder, bring it back, and now it works. So hopefully this all makes sense. I know we're kind of going through it quickly. I didn't want to get into too much of the detail. And really the last major clip, I believe, in the game that you might have to worry about is the reverse clip. This one is scary. This one in 9. But again, if you don't do it, you're gonna have to. Let's show you what it looks like. Assuming I do it correctly. That's right. Except I just got a bad pattern. Otherwise, if you don't do that clip, you have to clear out this room, which is not fun. Especially if you're not as comfortable with the combat yet, which is again something you should probably work on. But you can see how this would be a big time loss. Now that the room's cleared, though, I can show you. So this clip, again, you can use your sword here. It gives you that little buffer. But basically, the visual cue, the rough visual cue that I use is, you see this line that I'm walking over right now on the horizontal axis? Like, I want that kind of basically going through Link's ear, like the bottom of his ear. That's the cue that I use. And you can just clip right through. Same premise as before. Just stab and tap left or right really quickly. That's all you gotta do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that, again, I didn't want to get too in-depth with it. I just wanted to make a nice quick tutorial for people to look at for screen scrolling. Hopefully this is helpful. Again, feel free to drop me a message or reach out to me on Twitch under prawnzo. And yeah, if you have any questions, please ask. And, you know, definitely encourage people to keep speedrunning this game. It's a fun one, it's challenging, but you can definitely get a lot out of it. So thank you for watching, and hope you all have a great day.